Hello, fellow humans. Chris here again. So, you've probably heard today the FDA approved, like really approved, not emergency approved, the Pfizer vaccine. So, this is good news, obviously. First thing I thought was, those people that were holding out for an official FDA approval now have reason to go get a shot. So hopefully that's the case. But I can't help but thinking that there was probably a lot of bad faith arguments going on with some of those people, at least, because the undertones of that argument tended to be kind of rooted in this distrust of government. And I just found it kind of confusing if you are mistrustful of government that you would be waiting on the FDA, which is the government, approval of the vaccine. It just seemed very strange and kind of like a crutch. But anyway, that part of it is not really what I want to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was, um, you know, it, I've talked a lot in the past about my take on why you should get vaccinated, on the numbers. I've talked about the cases, Delta variants, nothing that isn't pretty common knowledge. And I've shared a little bit about my experience with my deployments. And I was thinking about it today because somebody happened to comment on one of my old videos from Medford, saying that she had actually been at the Jackson County Expo where I was working. So that was pretty cool. If you happen to see a mysterious looking guy with a mask driving around in a golf cart, you might have seen me. But I just was thinking about it from a more personal perspective. So I've talked about my experiences with sort of working in that environment, but I haven't really touched on my personal experience getting the shot itself. And uh, you know, I kind of felt bad in retrospect that I didn't do more on this channel to try to upsell the vaccine by sharing my experience. But in my defense, I got deployed, and during those first couple months, if you go back in my videos, you'll see from March to April, May, there were very limited videos. Anyway, as all that aside, I was just thinking that if the FDA has approved the Pfizer vaccine, and if that means that some people who were hesitant before might be looking at revisiting the idea of getting the vaccine, I thought maybe it wouldn't hurt to just share my experience, not working at the mass sites, but getting the vaccine myself. So I got the vaccine back in February. So I was part of the second tier, I guess you could say, of workers. So I got earlier access to it because of my government job, not because of a health condition or anything like that. So I had the opportunity given to me, and because at the time, and even still now, people in the military weren't jumping on the vaccine. I mean, people were getting them, but enough people were not getting them that it was available. So when the opportunity arose to me, I took it right away. And it was I didn't feel like I was taking it from anybody else because it was a pool for military, and not all of them were being taken. So I said, yeah, I'll take it. Maybe it'll help at least provide a layer of protection for myself and my family. And I went. I got it on base, and it was nice. The first part about that was nice was that I actually got to see a lot of people that I hadn't seen in almost a year. Because a lot of our drilling had actually been done remotely, and even things that we did do in person were very limited personnel, staggered schedule, things like that. So I actually got to see a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a long time, and just a lot of people that I hadn't even worked with in years who were just also there getting the shot that day. So that part of it was nice. Sort of the camaraderie aspect of it, catching up with old friends, and then just the process. It felt very important, I guess, and I don't mean that like in a self-important sort of narcissistic way. It just felt like I was a part of something. I was part of the first slash second wave of an evolution that is going to help us return to normalcy together as a community. So that part about it felt good. And then, going through the process, checking in, going into the medical building, and one of my best friends, who I've worked with for a long time in the service, was right there by my side the whole time. We got our shots together, same room, same time. This was a person who ended up being deployed with me as well, and we were working together side by side for the entire 4 months. So that was really cool about it as well, just having that camaraderie and just my colleagues being there with me. And then the second shot was 3 weeks later. So what had happened was, by the time I got the second shot, I had already been deployed. Between the time of the first and second shot, I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew that there were likely going to be recalls for some sort of support role, but I didn't know details about what it would entail and whether it be voluntary or involuntary. In between the time that I got my first shot and the second shot, it came to my attention through my command that they were going to be looking for people, specifically like in our unit, in our area. So, and they were looking for like a specific number of people, and it's geographically based, so they had mass vaccination sites set up all over the country, but this one in Oakland was one of the first. So we were told that was going to be a thing, and I thought about it, and I said, I just got a shot, and it provides me protection, and I'm privileged in the sense that I had access to it before a lot of people that maybe want it, maybe are immunocompromised themselves, maybe they're older, myriad of reasons. I happened to be a fortunate one to get one before some of them, and here I have an opportunity to be a part of a major evolution to get a lot of people vaccinated. I thought it just seems like it would be just like I'm sort of obligated in a sense, I guess, to help out. So I said, I'll do it. And at the time, I actually didn't know that it was going to be in Oakland. They told us that it was probably going to be local, so or at least quasi-local. But there wasn't too much beyond that. And then we kind of got more of the details. Anyway, long story long, between my first shot, March 1st, I got deployed. That's my first day. And then I believe it was March 12th or March 13th was when I got my second shot. So it was an interesting 3 weeks. The first week I got my shot, home, packed up, and then deployed. And then between March 1st to March 12th or 13th, working in my new environment and then getting the second shot, that whole experience was very interesting because and unique in a sense that a lot of people aren't working in these mass vaccination sites. I spent that first 2 weeks witnessing the tip of the spear, the people getting their first shots, and these were people who these are first tier, right? So there's sort of two first tiers. There's essential workers, nurses, basically, nurses and doctors, the medical community, and then it kind of tapers off from there. So there's that first tier, and then there's first tier civilians, and those were the 65 and older and people who had health conditions. So pretty much everybody that we were seeing was elderly or people that had some kind of condition. And at this particular location in Oakland, the majority of the people that I saw were actually younger, people that looked like even younger than me, and so they obviously had some kind of health issue that was the reason for them getting their shot early. And anyway, just in a nutshell, that experience, especially in that first couple of weeks, was there's not one single word that I can use to describe it aptly. Just so unprecedented, personally, and just privileged to be a part of it and to witness it. A lot of emotion, a lot of people. Just I think a lot of it, people who were sick or again, immunocompromised in such a way that it vastly affected their life in the last year. So being able to get their shot, it meant a lot to them. That was the common denominator. And again, the nature of it being that these are people who are in a unique situation, which is meriting them getting the shot first. So it's sort of a skewed sample, but it did give me an interesting perspective because as much as I felt privileged and glad to have had the opportunity to get my shot, I didn't have that emotional feeling about it, because I'm healthy. I'm in a group that if I wasn't working for the military, I wouldn't have gotten my shot already. So it didn't have that same effect on me as if it was somebody in that sort of unique situation. So what I'm trying to say is it opened my eyes to what it meant to people. Aside from just a numbers game, 70%, 80% herd immunity that we need, it was just about the experience and the symbolic stepping of through the doors to a return to normalcy. So that part about it I wanted to share with anybody that has made it this long for whatever reason. And I do want to say that I'm aware of the fact that some people who haven't gotten the shot already also might have not gotten the shot for some kind of medical reason. So I am sensitive to that. And I actually touched on this a couple weeks ago when I talked about my friend that I lost. So I am fully aware of that being a thing still. So what I would say to that is, as others have said as well, talk to your doctor. I don't know anyone's specific medical situation. No government official is going to be able to know your medical situation like your personal doctor does. And if you find yourself, if your doctor advocates for you to get it, and you find yourself in a place where you think you can take that step, I just wanted to share that these people were incredibly moved by what they were doing, and I was very moved to be, again, just privileged to be a part of it and to see it and to also feel that love, even towards me. People expressed sort of a gratitude for me for being there. And it also helped, having gotten the shot, to be able to talk to people who were getting their shot and might be feeling a little uneasy about it. I recognize I've kind of gotten off on a tangent here. I didn't go into this video with a plan. Normally I have at least kind of an outline of what I'm going to talk about. I didn't have that this time. I just kind of decided, like, spur of the moment, that since this was approved and since I got that comment about the person who was at Jackson Expo, I know I've kind of gone off on a tangent here, but I do think it's important, and it was a meaningful part of that experience, just seeing the people getting their shot and kind of experiencing what they were experiencing with them. And I also recognize that, again, being a numbers game, it's pretty likely that some of those people had probably lost somebody to COVID, or at least knew somebody who did. So that probably also played into some of the emotions as well. And then the other part about that was pretty cool was people would come back for their second shot. So we had it organized to where we were only doing first shots, or we were only doing second shots. It was, we were doing 8 to 9,000 people a day, so they had to have it kind of structured. So anyway, it would be timed out to where 3 weeks later, the same people would all be coming back to get their second shot, and some people I would recognize, and some people would recognize me, and in that amount of time, I would have also gotten my second shot. And so again, same thing, I could talk to them about how my experience was, and it was just a really cool, culmination of everything the past year, and being able to watch people in this whole process, and then getting their second shot. And then they would ask me about what my experience was with the after effects, which I guess that's a good segue into my experience, which is what this video was supposed to be about. And I apologize, I'm kind of gone off on a tangent, but good segue there. So for my second shot, I was working now. Like, this was after I was deployed, but I had to get my shot on the base that I got my shot on. I couldn't do it at the site, even though shots were available at the site, but it was allocated a specific amount, So the after effects with the second shot were a little bit more severe than with the first. The first shot was pretty much just a sore arm was the extent of it, and a little bit of fatigue, but not to any kind of super noticeable effect. Second shot, and I did get the Pfizer. I don't know if I mentioned that. That's kind of important, because the Pfizer was the one that was FDA approved, and that's the one I got. That's why I'm sharing my experience with it. So the second one was just more pronounced soreness. So I had the sore arm, but I also just had like body aches just all around my body, and I had some chills, and more severe fatigue, and that was pretty much it. I felt like pretty tired, didn't sleep well, and those chills with also feeling like hot and cold, that kind of thing, and that was pretty much the extent of it, and that's about the average response from what I've heard from people. And some people had more severe responses. Some people didn't have any reaction at all. I do know that one of my colleagues had gotten the Moderna, and he said that thing just kicked his ass. He was wiped out for like 2 days. So anyway, I kind of rambled on long enough. Just kind of wanted to talk about that experience. With getting my shots, and again, cognizant of the fact that my experience is unique kind of from the norm, because it was done through the military and it was done through this specific process. But the shot itself is the shot. It's the same shot. So I open the floor if anybody has any questions. Really, the main reason why I'm doing this is just if there's anybody out there that is thinking like, okay, now it's FDA approved, but I'm still feeling uneasy because of this or because of this. I'm not a medical or scientific expert. I don't represent the CDC, but I can speak on my personal experience. And the biggest thing for me was just the feeling of that camaraderie, that being a part of stepping towards the solution. And if you want to flip that around now, to kind of incentivize you to get your shot, we're on the other end of it now. We're on the getting closer to the final steps. I mean, we're not there yet, but we're a lot closer percentage-wise than we were in February, obviously. So you're getting a shot now. Especially if you were hesitant before, is huge. It's really huge. If the FDA approving it can change your mind, I hope that it does. For whatever reason, whatever reason you had for not getting it before. And again, if you have any specific questions or comments for me, I will be more than happy to discuss it. I will even make another video if you want. If you have a specific question on something about the experience that I didn't touch on, I will make a video about that. I really do believe strongly in this, in getting the shots. I mean, I spent 4 months away from my family just to try to be a part of helping it get done. You'll notice, you look back on my videos, I've been talking about it a lot lately. I'm not gonna lie, like, it's been a big part of this last year, and it means a lot to me. So if there's anything I can say or do in the video, let me know. It's a good feeling. That's my takeaway for it. So anyway, I will catch up with you all again very soon. Thank you again, everybody, for the support. Really appreciate it. Glad that you're all here with me, and we'll talk again soon. Have a great rest of your day. Remember, don't be afraid to question the consensus.